I'll scoot this over to our Facebook group too. Can somebody check? Shakira, will you check? Good morning, everybody. It says streaming to Facebook. There we go. Will somebody make sure that that is going where it's supposed to go?
It's there.
Perfect. Awesome. I'm going to continue letting everybody in, but I want to welcome you all to our team meeting on August 11th, 2020. Let's see. We're going to have a very special guest today. And so we're very excited. I hope that everybody takes advantage of joining us via the Zoom call. It's always best to be on the direct connection, right? You get to ask questions, you get to really engage, or our Facebook group. Either way, I want to make sure that everybody is taking the time to pay attention this morning. We have a very, very, very special guest joining us today. So welcome to team meeting. Before we get started, you know how I like to roll. Tell me something good. So I'm really proud of myself for downloading this GIF because I thought it was really funny and very Katie to be super dorky with the high five. So not you, Katie Douglas. I'll take that all on me. Who has something good to share? Don't be shy.
Well, I have a new listing going on the market this week.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Rocking and rolling. And we had our Ignite wrap party this morning, and Vicki, did it not warm your heart to hear what our agents are learning and implementing and how it's having a powerful impact on their business? I love that so much.
Yes.
So very much. All right, guys, don't leave me hanging. Who else has something good to share?
Well, I'm following Vicki's footsteps, and I have a listing going on this week.
I love it. I love it.
I'm telling
you. This is not the one that I went to see Sunday. This is somebody else.
All right.
I love it.
Yes.
You know what makes me happy? When my agents say I have a listing. You know what makes me happier? When they say I have multiple listings. So bravo. Way to go. I love that.
Yes.
Adam.
Hey guys. Yeah, so just jumping on the Ignite call this morning, kudos to Katie and Vicki. We've got new leadership that we are growing up, not just for KW Montgomery, but for the Montgomery market. And Shakira, Tiffany, I couldn't be more proud for you guys. I mean, I'm excited for y'all's future. Y'all really plugged into the training that we offer, and the results are showing up. So kudos to you guys for being there, plugging in, and changing the lives of y'all's families. So I'm excited about that. And this might be old news, but you know, we went from $1,200 in profit share last month to $12,000 in profit share this month. And guys, we're just getting started. So I'm so excited to see KW Montgomery become what KW was always meant to be for Montgomery. So we're just getting started.
That's right. Just getting started. It was a record-breaking month, guys, for a lot of reasons.
For 11 years.
Woohoo!
So,
Yes, yes.
be very proud of yourselves. And like Adam said, we're just getting started. I see that our special guest has already joined us. Oh, did I lose you? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a little bit because I want to make the most of her time. And our series this month is Think Bigger. And so I was like, you know what? Who can I get that's the biggest thinker that I've been in front of, just from a stage, from a podcast? And you know what? I reached out to Sarah, and she was so gracious to say she would join us. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Sarah. And she is phenomenal. I'm sure she's going to share her story with us, but I want to share just a little bit about her so you guys can just think about how big of a deal it is that she's joining us this morning. So she has sold, her team has sold over 5,000 homes and is growing that number year over year. In just 2019, under Sarah's leadership, the Reynolds team sold over $312 million in sales volume, ranking them as the #1 real estate businesses in the U.S. per the Wall Street Journal. The Reynolds team is the #1 female-led real estate team in Keller Williams and #3 overall, and she's taken time to be with us today. So everybody give a warm welcome to Miss Sarah Reynolds. We're so glad to have you, Sarah.
I'm so glad to be here. Hi, KW Montgomery. Just thank you for the opportunity to spend this afternoon with you guys and talking about an important topic, which is think bigger, and just making sure that we are expanding our mind. And this is something that honestly I've had to grow in. I would say I'm continuing to grow in. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. How much time do I have?
You have as much time as you wish to have. We
Uh-oh.
plan for about 45 minutes. If you want to go 30, as long as you want. I will sit here and listen, and I'm sure we have several others that will too.
Okay, sounds good. So I do have a presentation that I prepared around this topic, and so I definitely can share that with you guys. And I appreciate the introduction. Just to tell you a little bit more about me, so you know who's talking. So I lead the Reynolds Team Network. So we are out of the entire DC metro market. So we service Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, DC. We have 2 additional expansion teams, one in Richmond, Virginia, and then earlier this year, we just expanded to Atlanta. And so we are super excited about that. Right now, we're on pace to help 1,250 families, which will equal out to about $15 million in gross commission income. And we have a team of inside sales agents, our outside sales agents, which are our agent partners. And I have the honor of being able to lead now over 100 people that trust me and my leadership and my organization, which is truly humbling. And it's just been remarkable to see everyone's growth over the last few years. So I'm excited to be here. My best title and most favorite accolade is mommy. I am the mom of 3 beautiful children, 7, 5, and 1 years old. And I grew my business. I've been growing my business as a young mom, which you don't hear a lot about or see a lot of. And so my goal is to help change that for there to be more young mamas leading big businesses. So, and then I'm also a proud wife as well. That's an awesome title I have as well. And then I am a co-host on the Empire Building podcast. And so I'm super excited to be here with you guys. And like I said, this is a topic that has been super dear to my heart. So we're going to dive in as long as I can share my screen.
You should be able to.
Okay. And I don't love, like, I'm not like a presenter. What I mean by that is I love interaction. And so if you have questions, if you have things you want to add, please don't hesitate. It's not like it's not like I don't want to just be talking to you guys all the time. So, okay. So I shared what I want to talk about today is growing in a crisis. So a lot of this comes back to thinking bigger, and we are still in the midst of a world pandemic, and there's still a lot going on, and I'm still hearing about a lot of limiting beliefs and people that are thinking small because of what's going on. And so I want to talk this morning about just growing in a crisis and sort of changing the way that you're thinking and addressing some limiting beliefs that you might have. So normally when someone hears the word crisis, they automatically equate that to limits without realizing it. So when everything first started going down, what were some things that you guys heard people say? So let's think back to beginning of March. It feels like 8 years ago, but let's think back to beginning of March. What were some things that leadership was saying? What were some things that you heard people saying?
Sarah, I know for me, when I was consulting agents, they would say, I'm just going to wait till this is all over and get back into business.
Yep. I heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to wait. What else?
Uncertainties.
Uncertainties. Yep. So then when someone's uncertain, what do they do typically?
Sometimes nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most times nothing. Right. So a confused mind typically will do nothing. Mm-hmm. It's a principle that I look at for a lot of marketing, a lot of lead generation. You never want to confuse the prospect. You want to make it very clear as to what they should do, because a confused mind does nothing, but that applies to everything, right? And so if there's uncertainty, we don't know what's going on, everyone sort of pauses, right? When March 1st, we announced our expansion to Atlanta. And March 3rd is when in Virginia, the governor called everyone home. And so 2 days after we expanded, and I started getting calls from a lot of people. And what do you think my friends, coaches, what do you think they were saying?
What are you going to do now that you've just started a new expansion? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you sure you should be expanding? Shouldn't you pause? Shouldn't you stop? Right? So crisis, automatically people retract, people cut, and I'm pro watching expenses, that's for sure. But crisis equals limit. So everyone around started saying, limit yourself, limit yourself, limit yourself. They weren't using that word. And it's continuing. We're still hearing it, right? They're using different things. Pausing, that's a limit. Thinking that you can't grow, that's a limit, right? So today I want to dive into how should you be growing in a crisis? How should you be changing your way of thinking? Because what I'm passionate about is crisis is actually when we're needed the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So crisis is when we're needed the most. If the real estate community, who's on the front lines of people's homes, right, says limit, stop growing, like pause, what then does the world come to, right? We need to take our job seriously. We're on the front lines of people's families, on people's homes, and crisis is not the time for us to pull back. Crisis is actually the time that we need to be leading the charge, right? So the last thing we want to be doing right now is having any type of limiting belief thinking. We've got to squash it. Because we need to be growing, we need to be taking market share, we need to be impacting people's lives now more than ever before. Okay, so let's go into it. So the reality is that there are no limits to what you can do. Pandemic, world pandemic, things that we've never accomplished before, there are absolutely no limits to what you can do. You are only limited by the limits you place on yourself. You guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You're only limited by the limits you place on yourself. And today I want us to do some reflecting and be thinking about what limits are we putting on ourselves? What limits have you been putting on yourself? What things have you been giving yourself grace for during this period that it's time to stop? Giving yourself grace, right? Focus on where you want to go and you want to see it materializing. One of the biggest things for me through this whole thing, our team is up 40 to 50% this year. And we had a dang good year last year, okay? In the middle of a pandemic, we're up. And the reason we are is because I have not been looking at my existing circumstance. I've been focusing on where we're going. You have to focus on where you're going, and you have to see it materializing, okay? So do not focus on where you are. Yes, we don't want to put our head in the sand, meaning I need to acknowledge that there's a crisis going on, but the biggest thing we need to focus on is where we're going. Okay, that's what you need to focus on. So where do you want to be in 5 years? This pandemic is going to be a memory in 5 years, right? It's going to be a complete memory. The hard part is that so many people are making adjustments that are going to take them off course from where they want to be in 5 years because of this current circumstance. This is just a moment in time. Do not go off course. Stay the course. Whatever your course is, wherever you know you want to be in 5 years, stay the course. Because what you don't want to have happen is that 5 years not happen because you got off course in 2020 when really you look back and it's just a memory, right? But the impact that you want to have in 5 years, the family, the difference you want to make in your own family, the difference you want to make in the families around you, that's not going to go away in 5 years. You want to accomplish it, right? So don't let our current circumstance determine what we're going to achieve in 5 years. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to do this exercise, okay? And I'm going to show some pictures, and I want you guys just to write down what is the first thing you see, okay? You're just going to write down quickly what the first thing you're going to see in each picture. Don't overthink it, okay? Just write down the first thing you see in each of these pictures. Go. Or think about it, each picture. Not think about it, but just if you don't have a pen. But hopefully you have a pen. Take good notes. This is good stuff. Just give me a little wave when you're done. All right, cool. Give you one more minute. Okay, so we're going to talk about paradigm shifts, because limiting beliefs many times takes a total shift in the way that we're looking at things. So we're going to look at these pictures together, okay? And we're going to look at it again. So the first one, who saw an old man and who saw a young man? What did you guys see in this first one?
Young man.
I saw an old man. Yeah, I saw an old man.
Okay.
Man.
So okay, so the young man, this is the cowboy hat, right? And then this is his profile, and he's wearing like a fur coat. You see that for the young man?
Mm-hmm.
The old man looks sort of like Abraham Lincoln. This is his beard. This is his nose and his eyes. See that?
Yes.
Okay. So who saw a duck or a rabbit in the next one?
I actually saw both.
You saw both? A lot of people see both in that one. That one's not as tricky. Okay. But for those that didn't, the duck, this is the beak, right? And then the rabbit, this is the beak are the ears, and then the mouth is over here with the eyes here. Okay, for the old, who saw an old woman or a stylish young woman?
Stylish young.
Stylish young woman.
Stylish young woman. Okay.
Okay, so most of you saw the younger one. So this is the nose of the older woman. Here's the chin. See the mouth? This is her gray hair, or looks like almost like a fur. She's wearing also a fur cape. But here are her eyes. You guys see that? Okay, who saw a man playing a horn or a women's silhouette?
Either of that.
I didn't know what that was.
You didn't. Okay, so this is the man playing the horn. Here's the nose, and this is the horn, right? So on the darker side, and then the women's silhouette. This is the her eyes, her mouth, her nose. See that? Okay, who saw a goblet or two faces?
Two
Oh.
faces.
Yep, you can see the goblet here in the middle, and then the two faces. Okay, and then who saw a feathered Indian chief or a chilly Eskimo body?
Indian chief.
Body.
Okay, so as you can see,
What if you looked at all 6 pictures and just said you saw faces?
well, that's great. Okay, okay, so that's awesome. I like your honesty, Vicki, about what you saw. These are always tricky questions, but the key here is sometimes the way that what you see certain things, a paradigm shift means that you're seeing something that you didn't see before. And limiting beliefs in our life require us to have a paradigm shift in thinking. So follow me here for a second, okay? So a lot of times, like which picture did you literally not see at all the other thing? And then when I showed it to you, you said, oh, who experienced that?
I saw that with the first one and the third one.
Okay. So that way of feeling like oh my gosh, I didn't even see that before. That is what many times limiting beliefs are in our life that we don't even realize. We don't even see them, right? And it takes sometimes having a totally, completely way of thinking to change, which can be really tricky at times, right? So in order to get to the next level in your career, you have to make a dramatic shift in the way that you view it. You have to shift your thinking. You have to shift your paradigm. You literally have to have a paradigm shift. Oh, I didn't even see that before, right? Because what we don't realize is that our paradigms are actually like it's a box of our own making. Like each of us were raised with different beliefs and preconceptions. Everyone on this meeting today, everyone in this Zoom call has had a different upbringing. We've had a different experience than the other person. We have our own biases that we don't even realize sometimes, and also mindsets. All of us were brought up by different parents that taught us different things, right? What our friends have taught us throughout our life, and then also everything we've read and done. All of that makes up our paradigm and how we think, right? Like for me, I'm a pastor's daughter. So I was raised in a pastor's home, and pastors don't make a lot of money. They also don't talk about money in terms of like wealth building. That's like, you wouldn't talk about that because that's seen not as, it says that the love of money is evil, not money is evil. That's, a lot of people get that confused. But I was basically raised to not talk about money. And here I am this year, my business is going to gross $15 million in income. We're going to net, I'm going to net to over $2 million. And so I'm a millionaire, and that sounds crazy to say because I was raised not to talk like that, right? I've had to have a complete paradigm shift because of how my upbringing was when it comes to the topic of money, right? That's one example for me personally, but I've had to get out of my comfort zone. Me even just saying that to you guys feels uncomfortable, right? Because of my upbringing. For some of you, that's not uncomfortable because of how you were brought up. So all of us were sort of, that's who we are, that's our makeup. But at times to really tackle the limiting beliefs that all of us have, that it takes a complete paradigm shift. And a complete paradigm shift means that you're seeing things completely differently than you did before. So I don't know why there's like the little question marks, but that's okay. But the box defines us, right? And so what's important when it comes to changing our paradigm, you know, some of us have heard like to think outside the box, that term. You need to be thinking outside of what you know. What if you not, you know, what if you can accomplish something that you never even dreamed of? What if you could accomplish something that people around you never even dreamed of for you? Right? Who gets excited with even that thought? I do.
I do.
Yeah. And it's going to take a complete paradigm shift. So what did you see when you looked at the picture on the previous page? We already talked about that, but honestly, it's like, that's what it's going to take. It's going to have to see things differently. You're going to have to see yourself differently. You can't stare right in the face of something and not see it because you don't believe it's there, right? So at times, that's what our paradigms in our life do, is that we literally don't see them. Like who has like gone to a car lot and like saw a car and you're like, oh, I've never seen that car before. That's sort of pretty. I sort of like that. And then you drive off the car lot and then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally didn't see it before. That is a paradigm shift of like, because all of a sudden your mind sees something that they didn't see before. So what are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from seeing yourself, seeing what you can accomplish in a different way, right? And so what you want to do is, what paradigms, what limiting beliefs are currently holding you back? I would love for us to take 2 minutes of just silence, and I want you guys to write down, what are some limiting beliefs right now? What are some paradigms that as I'm talking, you think to yourself, I need to really address this. It's something that I need to look at differently, right? So go ahead and let's take 2 minutes and write down some limiting beliefs, some paradigms that are currently sort of holding you back that you need to shift in thinking from. And I'm going to do the exercise myself. Who would be willing to share something that they wrote down? And I know that that can be vulnerable at times, but I believe that change happens when we're uncomfortable. And I think it's really important to say things out loud at times. So who has something that they wrote down, a limiting belief or something that they realize is holding them back?
One thing I think, Sarah, is it's never been done here before.
Yeah, that Sarah. Hey, it's Adam Beams.
Our OG.
Yeah, and so we just bought the franchise back in the end of November, and it was always ran as a dependent model, and so we are just now catching wind and really taking off. And so one thing that I've heard over and over, you just don't understand, Montgomery's different, or KW just doesn't work here. And so it's a mindset issue that we're starting to break through. And kudos to Katie and Vicky. Katie is our TL, obviously, and Vicky is our PC coach. And we're starting from the ground up, because we're building that foundation that's been missing for for 11 years. So
That gives me chills hearing you say that, because it's so exciting.
yeah, I'm
I
really
know it's
excited.
I know it's stressful, but it's also like you have such a when I hear that, I just get so excited because you have the opportunity to impact so many people there that have that way of thinking, and then also like amazing leadership. It's way harder to be a leader in that circumstance than it is the reverse. And so that is amazing job, guys. That's awesome. So having the limiting belief, making sure that way of thinking doesn't impact you, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love that. Who else?
Not having enough leverage,
Tell me more.
not having the right systems, tools, and people in place.
So using that as almost like an excuse, like in terms of like, well, I can't do that until this, or
Yes.
is that what
Yeah.
you mean? Okay, that's good. Yep, that's good. What else?
I like to think, and I know I think different than most people. So I remember one of the first conversations that I've had with Adam a few months ago, and we were on a business call or some call, and one of the questions was sort of the same thing: what's holding us back? And me, honestly, I don't know if it's because I came into real estate on the cusp of this coronavirus, so I don't know anything prior. So Katie and Vicky and Adam has instilled in us getting rid of those limiting beliefs. So when you ask me what's my limiting belief, I really don't have any, because the only thing that can hold me back is me. So
Yes.
once I get out of my head, there's
Yep.
nothing.
Exactly.
So I honestly have a hard time finding something to,
Good.
because I've been taught not to have those beliefs.
That's amazing. That's a strong leadership around you. Honestly, that's amazing. I love that. And sometimes we don't even realize like a limiting belief that we have, right? So like for me, I had a limiting belief around attracting certain talent, like not feeling good enough to even have attracting the people that I saw as talented. That's something that I've had to overcome as growth. I started really young. So like for me, like I had a limiting belief around my age. And that's a lot of young people's limiting belief. And unless you tell that to them, like meaning unless they don't even realize it at times. That's what the paradigm changes. But it's really acknowledging them. So taking this first step, whatever you wrote down, taking the first step and saying, okay, this is what's holding me back right now, right? So I want to dive in really quick to talking about the 3 most common things that I've heard in terms of during this period, why people are not growing. Right. And using sort of the coronavirus, using the crazy election and all the bad things that are going on in the world as sort of excuses for why they're not growing and why they're not pushing forward. So we've already actually addressed one of them, which is the fear of the unknown. Right. We talked about that, lack of control, and then also retreating, meaning pulling back. So we talked about that a little bit already too. So one of the things that is important, I think, when it comes to this idea of fear, and I had to change my way of thinking around fear. So fear is actually a common emotion. It was given to animals as actually a survival instinct. When they feel fear, that's actually a survival instinct. I think God gifted us fear for the same reasons. If you have a little bit of fear going on in you right now, are you viewing the fear as a negative, or are you actually viewing that as a positive? Most talk about fear as a negative. I would like to branch out and say that it's actually a super positive thing. If you're feeling fear, that means your job when you feel fear is to think, okay, how can I push forward? How can I survive through it? In my experience, how can you thrive through it, right? When the pandemic first hit, I was scared to death. Every 2 weeks, my payroll is $100,000. Every 2 weeks. Right? 6 figures payroll. Okay. I've got a lot of people that I'm responsible for feeding their family. And I was fearful. I barely slept for that first 30 days. But guess what? It pushed me to adjust my business. It pushed me to make the changes that I need to make to not just survive, to thrive, which is how we're up. So are you taking the fear that you have and adjusting it? So it's one thing, it's not bad to be fearful. Fear is a good thing. What can be bad is, what are you doing with the fear? Are you halting? That's not what you should be doing. How you're going to survive and thrive, how you're going to show the Montgomery market that KW is going to dominate, okay, is by taking the fear and turning it around to, this is how we're going to thrive in this market. This is how we're going to take more market share, right? So use that as a, not just a survival, but a thriving instinct, right? So there has never been time in history where everyone stopped moving for an indefinite time. I kept telling myself that. So it's up to us. I mean, we were down, our market was down 52% in number of sales in April and May compared to April and May of 2019. Less people moved. But guess what? People still moved. And it's our job to take territory, to take market share, okay? Which means that we have to hit the gas. We got to be more aggressive. We got to be more ready to take market share, right? Job loss creates as many moves as job creation. Did you guys know that? Job loss, there's been for months talk about job loss. Okay, that creates as many moves as job creation. But what does that mean? This means that we're actually needed more. That's what that means. Good agents with a heart to serve people are needed more now than ever before. Right? I mean, sitting down with a home seller that has to move because of job loss and possibly relocating to a new area, they're feeling down on themselves for being let go. They're feeling down, they need us more than they do with job creation, the exciting times. And that's why it's important to protect our mindset, because we are the ones that are leading the charge face to face, belly to belly with buyers and sellers. And I cannot stress enough that when fear is around the globe, when fear is around our country, when fear is around our current market, we are needed more than ever before. We've got to lead. We got to step up, right? So, there's been other crisis times. And so I'm gonna take you through some that I've lived through. Who remembers Y2K? Remember when for those that don't remember, they thought the whole world was going to shut down the minute it hit midnight on January 1st, 2000. Because all the computer systems weren't set up for it, and people were hoarding spam in their basements and thinking that you guys remember that?
It was real. If you don't remember, it was real.
It was real. It was real. Okay. And then soon after that, we had September 11th. And my service area is Washington, D.C. I was a junior in high school. And I remember so many of my friends' parents worked at the Pentagon, where one of the planes flew into. And it was a crisis. It was a complete crisis. And it was scary. We didn't know what was going to happen, right? And then so many things happened in the next 5 years after that. But then we, of course, went into the financial crisis in 2007, 2008, which is right. I got my license in 2006, right? And so I could go on and on about different crises. I think SARS was in 2001, let's see. Yeah, 2001. I mean, I have a list of ones that I look at, and then they're just memories. And at the time, they were real, but they're memories now. And what's important is that you need to realize who is going to thrive during this time. KW Montgomery, I can tell, right? But these are some companies that actually started in the financial crisis. WhatsApp, Venmo, Groupon, Instagram, Uber, Pinterest, Slack, and Square. I use every day half of this list. How about you guys?
Yes.
These
Especially
are
when
all,
we're traveling.
yes, these are all companies that started during the last crisis. So what I imagine is 5 years from now, you know, Adam says it was November, right before the year of the coronavirus, when we bought the market center. And I thought to myself, what in the world are we doing? No, and it was scary. But we thrived and we grew and we took market share and we dominated and we showed Montgomery what KW is about and what KW, and we helped our agent partners. We helped hundreds, thousands of families, right? Because that's what these companies are doing. They're making an impact. They make an impact on my life, make it a little easier, but then they also produce jobs. They also help families. They change family trees. All was done during the last financial crisis when everyone else said, back down, pull the reins in, don't grow. All the things that we heard in March of this year were said that crisis too. But these companies thought different. These companies didn't put limiting beliefs on themselves.
Sarah, speaking to that, if you look at the stock market, a lot of people look at the crisis as, oh my gosh, I need to pull my money out, right? That's the biggest opportunity, and that's when the most money is transferred during crisis.
Exactly.
And it's just how you look at it. So
exactly.
crisis to me looks like opportunity.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. And you want to have a shift of thinking. And so if I've been taught for the last 10 years, if the industry or if people go in this direction, you should actually be looking at the other direction.
Right.
Right. And so it's right now is a key for that. If everyone's saying pull back, okay, that's the time for KW Montgomery to say press the gas.
Well, Sarah, Gary says, with the shift, the territory we take now, we never get back.
No.
So that's the reason why all these new agents that are fully engaged in Ignite and the PC program, their business, they're on rocket fuel. So,
exactly. Yep. Yep. And you have that mindset fed into you, and you don't want to underestimate that. There's power in surrounding yourself with this group, right? And just making sure. So the second one was lack of control. And so that's a big one because right now none of us have control, right? I'm a young mom, and multiple counties around us announced full virtual school. So now we're having to learn how to homeschool. And I mean, we literally have zero control right now, right? I don't control the coronavirus. I don't control anything that the president does. I don't control anything that the governor does. I don't control any other human and how they respond, right? But I do control how I start my day. The people that I let around me, which is so key right now. I've had to limit certain people around me during this time. And it was intentional, right? Because I control that. The number of prospects I talk to in a day, what I put in my mind, how much time are you spending watching the news, right? I don't know what's going to happen today in the news, but I do know that me watching it is going to control whether or not it happens. Okay. But I can control what I did do with my time, right? The messaging that goes out about our team and organization, I control how to show care to all those around me and the time and how I spend it. Focus on what you can control and do your best to ignore the things you can't control, right? And it's so key right now when I feel out of control, which is there's lots of things I don't control, I lean into the things I do control. And a lot comes with my mind. So much is with your mind. So what are some things that you need to stop that are impacting you? And then focus on the things you can control. Take a minute and write it down. What is something right now that maybe that you are letting impact you, you are letting control your mindset, control your limiting beliefs that you're putting on yourself? What are some of those things? Write it down. And then I want you to change your calendar to reflect it. So if there's a person that maybe a friend that is constantly negative, saying pull back, why in the world are you getting into real estate right now? Why in the world are you doing this right now? Right? When are you going to have the conversation of, hey, I've got to, and have that fierce conversation with them? Because that's what I believe in, having a direct conversation. I had to do that this year, and it's awkward. But guess what? My team and my life is better for it, right? So what are some things that you need to limit or things that you need to change in terms of what you're controlling getting close to you? And if you're willing to share, I would love to hear too. All right, so last is repeat or expand. So the last thing is, we already sort of talked about this and what Adam said. One of my favorite quotes is from Warren Buffett. It says, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So the stock market, when everyone's pulling out, that's the time you dive in, right? You want to do the opposite, right? And that's how you build wealth. That's how you expand yourself. But now is the time not to be thinking of retreating, pulling back. Now's the time to be actually thinking about taking market share, right? So, so that's what I wanted to share this morning. I hope it was helpful. Honestly, you control the beliefs that you put on yourself. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And coronavirus or not coronavirus, you can literally change the world during this time. And I believe that that's what we do as on the front lines of the real estate community. We have an impact on families more than most industries. And so we got to take it seriously, because we have an ability to really change the world for what we do. And we need to be thinking about that. We need to be thinking like that. So I would love, if you have any questions or ahas for the next 5 minutes or so, I would love to hear from you guys.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
No ahas. I have pages of notes and no ahas. Come on.
I tell you, somebody brought this to my attention the other day, as far as, starting your morning out with your spiritual time, and not jumping straight into your emails or jumping straight into the Facebook to see what somebody posted after you went to sleep last night, or jumping on CNN, Fox News, whatever. It really sets the tone for your day,
Yeah.
And, we talked about the other day, the energy map.
Energy plan?
Yeah, energy
Yeah.
plan. And if we're really focused on us, what does that need to be? Is that the spiritual time for you to meditate, pray, do whatever it is early in the morning, and start your day off with that? So I'm challenging myself with that, because I'm quick to grab the cell phone and see what's on Facebook or check my email.
Yeah.
If we start chasing the things that don't really matter, and they're not going to impact our lives, and most of it's not true anyway. So I would challenge each one of you guys to think about that, and if you're willing to implement it, I think it would change your day. So, Sarah, you don't know how much it means for us, and this is just great information. So we appreciate you.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the 5-point energy plan, they talk about it in the one thing, and I've been practicing that for many years now, and it's actually Gary Keller who wrote it. We're actually going to do a podcast on it. We're recording it this Friday, all on the energy plan and how we do that. And even as young moms, our kids wake up early, and so how do you do that when everything that you have going on? But that spiritual time is so important. And honestly, our energy plan needs to be looked at more right now than ever before. And I have fallen into the trap, just like you, Adam, to where I pick up my phone right away. And it's just not a good way to start the day. And Gary talks about how it's important to have that spiritual time. It's important to have that thinking white space time, read your Bible, pray, whatever you do spiritually, feeding your own soul. It's the principle of putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. I think it's really important right now. And making sure that you have a tribe of people around you that are encouraging you to do that. When you see one of you guys sort of act out of character or something like that, I would encourage you to ask each other, hey, are you taking care of yourself? Are you, what are you following some type of energy plan? Because I've noticed more people are doing things that are sort of out of their norm right now. And a lot of it is because they are so focused on what's going on in other people that they're not feeding themselves. And I think leaning into that energy plan, I think that's perfect to even bring that up today, Adam. Honestly, that's key. So I love that. What else? Ahas or questions?
Sarah, my big aha was the loss of jobs create as many moves as job creation.
Yes.
It seems so obvious when you
Yes.
say it, just like the picture.
Yes.
Are we thinking about that? Because if I can provide somebody and sit them down and walk them through a plan that's going to help their family, it doesn't matter the reason. If that's my mission.
Yes.
Too, with that, Katie, you know, the atmosphere is a lot different when somebody needs to sell versus when they're considering just making a move. So I'm not saying take advantage of the situation, yet the opportunity is a lot different. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can switch words there. I mean, I don't view it as taking advantage. I view it as helping them, right? I mean, but there is, I mean, Winston Churchill, never waste a good crisis, meaning like we should be using that as an opportunity to serve, you know, that whether we say it like that or not, you can use different words, but honestly, it's the same thing. It's the opportunity. There is opportunity, but it's really opportunity to help. They need us more. That's the way I look at it, as like, yeah, they need us more. And yes, they're in a more desperate situation, but that's even more reason why we need to be the one that's across the table from them or across the Zoom from them. So that's great.
Gloria,
One more.
Did you have an aha? You took yourself off mute.
Oh, yeah, I did. I want to say, Sarah, I took your class 2 years ago in New Orleans by the customer service experience. Came back to Montgomery. That's really changed my life. So awesome. And congratulations to you. It may have sound weird to you saying you are a millionaire. I'm happy for you. So I'm going to say it to myself, I will be a millionaire.
Yes, so that's right.
My thing for me, my aha for me is that I'm thinking too small. I'm not thinking big enough. That's one of my aha.
I love that. Yeah. Think bigger. That's what I want you guys to think bigger. However you think, 5 times it.
Hey, and Sarah, Gloria, she is our top producer, and she has really stretched her goals. Just kudos to Gloria this year.
Yes.
And in the middle of a pandemic, she has not lost focus of her goals, and her commitment to those goals are just phenomenal. So
that's amazing.
She is just plugging away, and I can't wait to see what the true KW models do with her business.
Yes, and thinking bigger does too, which is a KW model. Thinking bigger, that's amazing.
Yep, she capped in 90 days, so record breaking for
Woo!
So we're pretty
Gloria,
proud.
That's awesome.
Oh,
yes.
We have some phenomenal
nothing compared to yours, Sarah. Oh my goodness, your numbers just, oh my Lord. Yeah,
I was where you were not that long ago. That's why you have to think bigger.
That's right.
5-year plan.
That's right. I love
it. Exactly.
Well,
well, this was so fun, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
And hey,
if you ever need help up my way, I would love to help your referrals. I know that we do have people moving back and forth. I've helped a few already this year. So if you know of anyone that's looking in any of the areas our team serves, I would love to help them. But it's been an honor to be with you guys today.
For sure. And for you, those of you, I know I've been harping on the Empire Building podcast, but I'm just telling you, Sarah, we just met today, but she and the 3 other ladies are secretly my best friend because I listen to them on my commute every day. I'm telling you,
awesome.
You need to listen. You need to pay attention because it's really, really good stuff. And give them a review because other people need to hear about it.
Yeah, so it's all about having a big business, but also an even bigger life, which is part of Gary's mission is, it's God, family, business. And, we talk a lot about business, but it's also about having a bigger life. And so that's what the podcast is about, which you don't really hear a lot of podcasts that mix the two. And so I would love for you to listen. We're authentic, we're real. We share our trials, we share our good times. We also have a lot of fun. So we laugh on the podcast too, which you don't hear a lot either. So, okay, guys, have an awesome day. Go impact Montgomery. I'm going to be watching you guys, and I believe in you. You're going to impact that whole area. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't leave me yet, people. Don't leave me. Just because the star left, don't leave me yet. Don't leave me. I have 4 more minutes based on my clock. Okay, what did you guys think? It's just family time now. What do you think?
It was really good, Katie. This whole series that you've been putting together been awesome. Thank you for that. I hope everybody's taking advantage of it because it's just a wealth of knowledge. They're telling you it's what they're doing. It's simple, just being consistent and believing in yourself and pushing through and taking advantage of the leadership that's there. So it's been good. Thank you all for that.
Yeah. Hey, and guys, that the energy plan there, honestly, I would love for each one of you guys, and maybe we could put a series together on that just to go through it. I'd love to see each one of us commit to that. And I'm raising my hand to commit to it, to do a better job of that. I think that, what she was saying earlier, there's so much negative, right? Whether it's the pandemic, the racial tensions, the election, what the governor's doing, what the president's doing. We can't control we can't control any of those things, right? And us worrying or doing or fretting or it controls so much of us as human beings. What can we do to impact our families and our lives? And I'm not saying all that stuff doesn't matter. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it absorbs a lot of our energy and it puts us in a negative state of mind. And that doesn't help us grow as business owners, as people, spiritually. It's just not worth it. So I care about each one of you guys. And I'm telling you, last month, we killed it.
Bravo, guys. That's you. That's all of you. Really. It's a big,
I'm excited.
big deal. If you just came in and you heard record breaking, you're probably like, okay. No, it is a big, huge deal. Big, huge deal. We're proud of y'all. I can't wait to see what the end of 2020 is going to happen because you guys are more on fire than ever. And I'm really proud of y'all. Adam is really proud of you guys. Susan, we are all a team here and we're so extremely proud of y'all. We are working very hard to provide a lot of value in our business meetings, in our training. And the more you guys engage, the more you're going to get out of it. And the more we're going to be able to know what exactly it is you guys are needing to help you with your business. So I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have an awesome day. Next week, we have another big thinker, so don't miss it. And if you see a friend that's not on the Zoom that should be, please make sure to invite them, okay? Bye, y'all.